Now, we're here at Haverhill High School, as a matter of fact, and it has special meaning to you there as well.
Well, I graduated from this school in 1965. It was a brand new school that was going to last forever.
Yeah.
And in fact, this was actually a ballot issue in 1962, whether we should build this school. My dad taught here for 28 years. He was a physics and chemistry teacher. And one of the reasons I got involved in politics in 1995, I came back to look at this school, and I have to say, I was appalled by the condition, the physical plant to the condition of the school. And it's always been my number one top priority has been education, and in particular to put money into maintenance.
What brought you to become an attorney? What was the turning point there?
I don't have a quick answer to that. I always wanted to be an attorney.
Yeah. Is it still fun?
Sometimes.
I say fun, but does it still excite you? Does it?
Sometimes. Anything gets stale after a while. I've been a trial attorney for 30 years. I actually have a very dull reason. I read a book in the 4th grade about attorneys, and I always wanted to be a trial attorney. And I find it to be a wonderful experience. I was in court today arguing a case, helping an injured victim, and I still enjoy it. But now I want to try representing the toughest job that I've ever will have tackled, and that's the job of representing the people of Haverhill and trying to turn the city around.
Now, you've gone to Tufts University, is that right?
I went to Tufts University in Medford, Mass. I graduated in 1969. I took a year off to be a VISTA volunteer in a little town called Waterloo, Iowa.
Son of a gun.
And VISTA is the domestic version of the Peace Corps. We worked with the poorest people in the country. And my job there was to help organize a school for school dropouts.
Yeah.
And I got to learn there about how very important it is that you keep a low dropout rate. From there, I went to law school. I went to the Northeastern University School of Law. I had the great experience of working for the Attorney General's office. For Attorney General, that time was Bob Quinn. And when I graduated, both Attorney General Quinn and later Attorney General Bellotti hired me as a Special Assistant Attorney General. I represented the town of Lowell for a while. And from there, I went into private practice. When Kevin Burke got elected, I was his first hire as an assistant district attorney. I was the chief prosecutor in the Haverhill District Court. Then I left and went back to private practice. In 1995, I ran for the city council. I'm a member of the Elks, the Haverhill Order of Elks, a great group of guys. I love going there. I'm a member of the Sons of Italy. My dad and I are both members. My mother just joined, as a matter of fact. It could be called the Sons and Daughters of Italy, and we have a wonderful time down there. I've been a member of numerous PTOs and site councils throughout the city, and I try to be active. I love this community, and I try to be active here.
Excellent. Politics has been a big part of your life too. Now, how did you start going? What made you? What influenced you on that?
I guess I always had the urge for public service, and I trace it back to when I was in the 8th grade. My family and I used to stay down at Cape Cod, and one day my dad asked us to take a trip with him, and we went over to Hyannisport. He said, I want you to meet a man that's going to be the President of the United States someday. So we went over to the Kennedy compound. We'd never heard of the Kennedys. We were just kids. And John Kennedy, who was running for president, came out onto the lawn. There were a bunch of kids there, and he talked to us for just a minute. And I don't remember what he said, but I remember how very inspired I was. And the general gist of what he said was that if you want to do good, if you want to change things, if you want to serve your country, then the best way to do it is elective office. And I've always been impressed by that. Kids, my name is Jim Fiorentini. I used to live in that house right over there when I went to law school. And right next door was a nice family here. And you kids live in the neighborhood now, too?
Yes.
What's your name?
My name's John. My name's Gage. My name is Destiny.
Destiny. Ah, I like that name. Now, where do you kids go to school?
Tilton. I go to Tilton School. I go to Silver Hill School. I go to Tilton School.
We want to give you the very best education we can. That's our job as a city. But you have a job, too. Your job is to study real hard and do good in school. Do you do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The most important thing in education is you, how hard you work. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. Is school ever boring? Ever?
Sometimes.
Just to see, is school ever boring? Kindergarten's never boring, is it?
No. I'm going to first grade.
And what grade are you in?
Second.
You have a great destiny ahead of you. As long as you stick to it, as long as you work hard,
Everybody has their own destiny.
you will, that's right. You will always do great. I promise you. I've always lived in Haverhill, Larry. I grew up, we started on Webster Street, and then we spent most of our life down in Riverside. And for a while I lived right here on Observatory Avenue. We had some nice kids come over, and we chatted with them off camera for a while. I used to walk down the street from the hill here on Observatory Ave, down to get the train station into Boston. I drove a cab in Boston 3 nights a week in order to get through law school, and
Is that right? Tell me more about that.
it was scary, believe me.
Right?
I lived at that time. I had an apartment. It's the only time I haven't lived in Haverhill, other than being in Vista. I had an apartment in Boston, and in order to keep up the payments, both first to Tufts and then to Northeastern to law school, money had to come from somewhere. My dad was a school teacher. So I drove a cab in Boston 3 nights a week, in Roxbury and South Boston and Southie, the South End, and I have to say it was scary. I drove from 6 o'clock at night till midnight, and I stopped driving after several years when there was a range of cab driver murders. There was actually a cab driver found outside of my street that had been shot, and that's when I decided I'll just borrow some money, I'll move back to Haverhill, and my folks were kind enough to help me out and get me through the last year of law school.